Snow covers the white on blue police livery of the motor carriage. The white colors nearly meld together. Do something important? Something murder-related? There's always something important. Doesn't mean you can't take a moment to admire this piece of machinery. This is a Caprice Kinema, the Caprice Motor Corps follow-up to their highly successful workhorse, Caprice 40, and the answer to the Lum's racing breed, Ferv series. With its air-cooled, rear-mounted 12-cylinder compression ignition engine, driving the rear wheels through a 4-speed manual gearbox, the Kinema is able to reach 100 kilometers per hour in 13.5 seconds and go on to a top speed of 180 kilometers an hour. The high center of balance is offset by a large battery bank mounted at the bottom of the cabin, feeding all the auxiliary systems and making the Kinema effectively a mobile power plant. Due to a quite steep price tag, it is very unusual to see one in police livery.
You want to take a closer look? 130.
I reckon that's a 7-liter V12 there. Man, that's got to be a major advancement over the KR18GU engine on the old Caprice 40.
7.2. Supercharged.
Saying these words brings him immense joy.
You mean the coil noise?
Come on, you know how it works. Put it together. He stares at you, intrigued. This is your chance to impress the lieutenant.
The resulting vibration creates the whining sound. That's right. Very impressive.
There's respect in that curious look. Definitely.
Yes. An extraordinary machine.
It's nice and all, but why so modest? Put some zing into it. Flare it up. Slam it down. Helium headlights would improve the range and quality of the visual field a lot. It's a bit girly right now. Fit it with some proper off-road components.
Actually, I have a pair at home. Just haven't gotten around to fitting them yet. I need to lay some wiring for the ballast first. Maybe. Yes, definitely maybe.
And means no. You think she really needs more of that after a man died at sea? What if I told you it is actually possible to go on a date sober? Before recorded history, men and women were able to do simple, very primitive things together sober. Acknowledge the situation and keep it basic.
I have, and I don't really.
Now, go for it. You just want to go for a walk. What kind of a monster doesn't want to go for a walk? Walks are innocent. Walks are fucking great cardio. Very stable fat burner. Aerobic exercise.
Just a walk? I don't know, officer. I would not have taken you for an innocent perambulator. Where would this walk take us, officer?
Nothing creepy, strange, or out there. Keep it airy and simple. Creepy? What is this, kink shaming?
Officer, I thought we had a work of our own in mind. One that results in a solved murder investigation.
Oh no. You, come with us. Seriously, I insist. You need to understand that nothing is going to happen. We're just walking. That's it. Understood?
Having the lieutenant along is a fail-safe measure against any possible funny business.
I guess I can come along for a quick stroll. I mean, if the ma'am insists, of course.
I'm really sorry.
I do, yes. Stroll on the beach sounds nice, doesn't it? All right, I'll see the kids haven't killed each other and we'll meet at Land's End in 15 minutes?
She doesn't wait for an answer. You better get ready. Was that acceptance? It feels so normal, nourishing even. The woman gazes steadily at the waves. A sudden gust picks up her dark hair and lets it fall again, tousled, wild. She brushes a few stray locks from her eyes, and only then spots you approaching.
Aye, so here you are. Early in the morning and the sun is up. And not a drunk or teenager in sight. I'm surprised. Know that you're not the first guy to bring a girl to Land's End. This is what the locals call a make-out spot. That is not going to happen here today. I just want to make that clear, Dimples.
Her thoughts are still elsewhere, with distances across the water, and with the water itself. Across the rusty water, that's La Delta, the financial district. In the mist-covered distance, towers rise as a rebuke to the poverty of this coast. Keeping a tactful distance, the lieutenant takes out his notebook, demonstrating complete disinterest in your date. Don't be fooled. He's watching you to make sure you don't act unprofessionally.
Drinking men aren't known for keeping their appointments. Aye, so an officer should be. All that running around must need a lot of structuring.
Her laughter is throaty and warm. It rhymes with the waves and the cries of the gulls. As she turns to face the sun, reflected in the waves and the skyscrapers rising across the bay, you cannot help following her steady gaze. The sun reflected in the waves and the skyscrapers rising across the bay is mesmerizing. Your mind clears for a moment as your senses take it all in. Not just the glass skyscrapers, fragile looking in the shimmering air. River Esperance flowing into the bay.
Isn't it strange for this all-powerful thing, the sun, to be so generous towards us? You know, the best time to go out fishing is usually towards sunset, when the water is warmer.
The sun also falls on the Capeside tenements and war-torn ruins. An old sea fortress juts out, seemingly impervious to the sheen cast over everything else, shaking you out of your reverie. The sun does little for the dead, and those hopelessly lost in their own minds. Or people living in desert climates with sparse vegetation and little drinking water.
Now you're just nitpicking. But I concede. Maybe desert people sometimes disagree.
There's salt in the air, and the cries of the gulls and the skuas, grit of the sand and the green glint of broken bottles. But still your gaze always returns to the dazzling streaks of light, wherever they may be reflected, their opulence.
It's bringing us spring, summer. It's entirely on our side, no matter what we do or who we are, for absolutely no reason. It's unlike no other powerful being, certainly no powerful organization or government. How can that be? Aye, it's political. No need to step on a soapbox about it. What if we disagree?
See, she doesn't want to disagree. Good sign. Keep it at that. Maybe some general remarks before you say something big. Work your way up to the cool.
These aren't real fishhooks, silly. They're earrings shaped to look like fishhooks. A drunk called Rosemary brought them to me. I kept them.
She's right. They're made mostly of plastic. A cheap novelty gift you can buy from a flower shop or a kiosk. The wind ruffles her hair as she looks at the sunlit coast across the water.
Thank you. I'm half Ubi. My mother was from Ubi Sunt. Not a lot of sun there, I hear, though I've never been.
The wind ruffles her hair as she looks at the sunlit coast across the water.
It's enough that my fish goes there. 50 real a piece they ask for spring cod.
Out on the terrace of La Fruit de Fond, a hip business lunch spot in downtown La Delta, glasses clink over a spread of oysters. Someone can't decide what to eat. Someone recommends a ceviche. Someone shields her eyes, trying to see across the bay.
Good one. I'm gonna go with the rope.
She thinks it was a riddle. She must not even know of that business. Better that way. Here we go. 2 different approaches to cap this off with style.
Aye. And a benevolent one. When did you last have one of those on your side? Well, now you have that giant thing to watch over you. So, to hell with love. You know, the wind's gonna pick up soon, and I have to go, but... Have this. The sun's good, but it doesn't stick things. I've no use for it anymore. No. Men around here are too drunk to pose a threat to me.
The lieutenant looks at the sword with distrust in his eyes. Do not bring it into a gunfight, he thinks. Please understand, it's merely ceremonial.
Doubt it. But thank you for the company.
This is as far as it goes with her. You'd need to put a year between you and your last drink for anything more.
Farewell.
That's one brutal motor carriage.
If I were a real skull now, I'd jack it, paint it in palm tree livery, then bottom light it, neon style.
A snazzy shit-ripped skullmobile like this would make a fine trophy. We could, like, hang fucking shrunken heads from the side mirrors. Cops' heads. Scary tribal shit.
Yeah, tribal shit. A cop carriage like this would have proper skull value.
While I appreciate the interest you take in my brutal motor carriage, I have to stop you right there. The RCM takes threats directed at its property seriously.
It's just theoretical work, Copper. No basis in reality. Man, if we were certified skulls right now...
Skulls. Now there's a strong organizational title. Was it a good idea on the lieutenant's part to get into this? Don't even answer that. Just leave. You can always come back later, on your own terms.
I can tell you who we're not, cop. We're not snitches or skulls.
Which is not to say that the skulls are bitches and... On the contrary.
The part of this presentation you want to take home with you, cop man, is we're not part of the skulls yet.
Okay then, let's indulge in some intellectual exchange. These young men seem eager to share their beliefs. These skull people are more than an authority. They're deities.
What about them? Well, first off, it's a statement and not necessarily something that characterizes me as a person, even though the statement has character. And I do like piss. The word piss epitomizes the struggle taking place in the world. Things being defined as they seem, not as they are. And, I guess, it's also about communal spirit, the future, and truly appreciating our differences. Also, you've got to admit, it catches the eye. And since the Grand Piper is slowly but steadily moving towards basing the economy on it, attention, it is imperative that the medium itself convey the message. What I mean by this is, we are all piss and that the world is inherently meaningless.
That much is true. It seems that the young man has a certain expertise in at least one field, even if it's rather narrow.
Like I said before, many men keep searching for the one, for so-called true love, which is actually just obsession masquerading as kinship. The thrill of the chase, the hollowness that fills your chest cavity after catching it.
I'm wondering if the poetics come with the jacket, or are they derived from something else entirely?
To catch a fish, you'll need to hurl the lure many times, and even then it isn't certain that you'll get anything. If you blow up the lake, though, you get more fish in a shorter time. And, for time is of the essence and fleeting ever so quickly, one must think of a way to fuck the whole world and not get caught up in fucking someone. Because when one fucks everything, he fucks nothing. And that, to me, feels glorious. Sticking your dick into the void.
Hate to admit it, but in a weird way, he's got a point. Is it a coincidence that here we have two badass jackets and two badass cops?
Yes? What is? What are you implying? I'm not sure I understand you, detective. Neither. Fine, if only to end this discussion. Theoretically, if I were a juvenile delinquent, if I were to already be down that path, I think peace is the stronger of the two statements. Seems about right, especially considering your heroic exit attempts.
That's an origin story for a dynamic duo right there.
So are we done here? Or... you don't need us around for your secret whisper party, do you?
You don't know? What kind of cop are you?
It's not a question. Don't get into it.
The question was rhetorical. The Skulls are the most vicious gang of the Besmertne.
Besmetine, or the Besmeti, the Immortals, are West Rivisholian crime syndicates.
The nastiest bunch of psychos ever. Jacking carriages and getting into high-speed chases.
Possessing an infinite amount of fuck-all swagger, infamous for their non-verbal modus operandi.
If a skull spots you, he will pull out his dagger and stab you without saying a word.
The lieutenant's voice is as calm as usual, a testament to the violence and death he's witnessed through the sight of his firearm.
They usually occupy the burnt-out quarter in Janrock, or you can find them loitering around their brightly painted bottom-lighted vehicles.
I can't wait to become a skull. Bottom lights are wretched aggressive.
No, they really aren't. It's porno tuning. Say no to the porno.
Murder? Yeah, sure. We'll gladly tell you everything we know about it. It was an...
He was hanged from a tree.
Yeah, I mean, duh.
These punks don't know anything. Let's just move along.
Hey, stop right there. How does one know anything?
Ah, this sounds like epistemology, a field so occupied by thought that it begins to question thought itself.
Exactly. How can one know shit?
We should move along.
Knowing. We think that we know, but where does the thought originate from?
It seems that we can only think, but never know.
Precisely.
Oh yeah, Cindy's a right proper skull.
Yeah, a true artist of the future, just like Arno van Eyck.
By the way, if you see Cindy, give her our regards.
For all their nihilistic posturing, these young men are not lacking in youthful idealism. Odd, there isn't a hint of hate in them. It's like they're piss and fuck the world out of some kind of moral obligation. The lieutenant on your left is unusually lenient toward them.
Oh man, yeah. We're not fucking kids, man.
Be wary of the abyss.
Probably because of how non-verbal their mode of operation is going to be. It's a threat.
A threat? Retaliate immediately. You'll see. They'll fall over like bitch leaves. These boys ain't got the cojones. As your bellow echoes through the street, the boys quiver ever so slightly and gaze down at their shoes, pretending to be deaf.
Right. You heard the detective. He's gonna ask you some questions now.
Don't ever do that again. But good call, detective.
The Union does their share of policing in Martinez, at least where gangs are concerned. That's why there isn't much organized crime around here.
Apart from the unions themselves, of course.
Don't you worry about that. we're gonna make up for the deficit.
Yeah, we are. We're not franchise skulls. Well, not yet. Once we get our name out there, we'll have a chance to join them. Because we can be just as psycho and vicious. You'll see.
But in a non-threatening and definitely legal way.
We'll fuck the system from the inside later. Just be cool now. The damage will be tenfold.
Right on, fuck. So what's happening now? Mm-hmm.
No. Don't ask anything. Be subtle and scary. The boys dream about being skulls. Use that. Suggest they're massive skulls. Come on.
What? No! Skulls don't have kings. I think. And we're not even in yet.
Yeah, man, keep your voice down. Skulls don't take it lightly when folks pretend to be them. We're not even prospects yet.
Prospect must be a hierarchical term. Probably in the lower end.
Wow, you boys are ambitious. Only prospects and already planning a coup in the skulls. You're destined to go far.
He gets it. Passive-aggressive flattery.
Shut the fuck up! Are you trying to get us killed?
Now bring it to the jackets and, yes, start shouting.
Please be quiet. What? What do you want? The jackets?
You got it. No need for cruelty.
Fuck you, man. Take them then. Oh, man. Okay, I get it. Skulls don't really wear slogans anyway. This was stupid.
Fuck.
The lieutenant watches the boys take their jackets off with mild amusement.
I'm absolutely okay with not having either one, thank you. This case doesn't require us to go undercover or raise hell. In fact, I don't think the jackets will be useful at all. I just wanted them to not have them anymore.
Cold-hearted cop.
The need will not arise.
Oh, the need will arise. Here's how we'll do it. As soon as this conversation is done, you put on the fuck the world jacket. We'll take it from there.
I don't know, Eric. It's cold out.
Yeah, let's get out of here. The cops fucked us.
Good. Step 1 complete. Now, let the lieutenant feast his eyes on the fruits of the tree of cool.
Very rock and roll. But is now really the time?
You've got to work your way into this thing. The subtle way. Wind him up a little. Don't immediately go for the kill. Subtle, like the aesthetic cacophony the two of you are making right now. Look at this shit. The visual feels make no sense. You're like a pair of white socks in brown sandals right now. It's disgusting. There's another way we can go with this. Frame control. Flip the situation on its head. Make them play by your rules. It It was a subpar delivery, not a lack of technique that failed you there. You could have still saved it, had you not failed her shit test. What was that? That's not how words are used. Say it again. Giggles, giggles. Classic shit test. That was your chance to just own it. A shit test is something woo men give to men to see how strong their frame is, how confident they are. Fail it, and they'll bail for another, more dominant alpha male. It's in their nature. Feels like you failed the biggest shit test of them all. But the lieutenant isn't going to shit test you. You've got multiple valid options here.
Detective, what are you talking about?
Plow ahead. Don't let him slow you down.
This is one of those times where you're just going to keep talking no matter what I say, isn't it?
A long moment passes as the lieutenant considers his words.
The odds are very high, officer. It's situations like these that make me afraid I'll end up being the cretin cop with pistol on his back. I'm afraid the RCM is going to have our asses for this.
With a look of utter disbelief, the lieutenant slips into the jacket. Now he's become the piss. There's no stopping you now.
The cool factor might hit me later. Right now, it feels like a joke gone too far.
He's looking around nervously, regrets putting the jacket on, wants to take it off.
That's what I'm afraid of. We better solve this thing fast. Let's be clear about one thing. The first chance I get, these things coming off. And that will be it. No take-backs, no follow-up conversations. That's it. Do you understand?
He means it. The moment your jacket comes off, so does his. That means you're probably going to have to keep fucking the world till the end of days.
Alright, fuck. Time to solve a murder. As counterintuitive as it might seem in these jackets. Let's go.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you?
As always, it's DJ Mesh and Fellatio, and you're listening to Street Freaks FM, bringing you the hottest, the nastiest, the most vulgar.
A flock of seagulls takes off nearby, startled by the roaring radio. Right away, the lieutenant reaches into the cabin and turns off the radio. He's not looking at you as he says,
Someone must have been messing with the radio, or maybe it picked up a random frequency. You wanted a prime line, right?
he's still avoiding your gaze, and his ears glow red.
Oh, is that what it was called?
Go for it. Turn the radio back on while it's still on the Speed Freaks FM.
Souped up motor carriage for one bad mama's boy, for the heavier foot and the freaky arm.
God damn it! Look, it helps me to stay alert on long nights, okay? It's a method. I'm not some kind of speed freak or... You would be too if you had this motor carriage. But seriously, let's quit joking around, alright? We have a case to investigate.
This is Precinct 57. Can I connect you to someone? 57's over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers, a radio on a hook, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
Yes? Me? I don't see how my life is pertinent to the investigation. if you insist. What do you want to know? That's because I'm half Seolite, or quarter. My father's father was from Seoul. So was my grandmother, but from my mother's side. It's not an interesting topic. It's a part of the world, officer. A geopolitical entity and a geographic division. I told you it wouldn't be interesting.
Seoul is a protectionist, isolationist, pan-Isolari state west of the Insulindian Isola. Actually, it's quite interesting. Some would even say mysterious.
You're barking up the wrong tree. I don't speak a word of Seolite. I've never met either one of my grandparents, and I've never been to Seoul. I'm a regular Revacholière.
A point of pride to him. He's glad to have shut down your question.
No.
Your brain sends the signal to your lips, but they refuse the order. Something is paralyzing them. You're pretty sure it has something to do with the lieutenant's eyebrow. The eyebrow is exercising psionic control over you. It's like you're locked down.
Something the matter, detective?
Goddamn right something's the matter. Lieutenant Eyebrow here thinks he can shut you down like some browless freak. Thinks you're just going to lie back and take it. Let's show him. Raise your brow high, up to high noon. Smugly, sire. Raise it smugly. Reflexes take over. The lieutenant's brow meets yours. His fierce counter nearly tears your face off. This could get ugly. Your fingers trace the edges of an imaginary holster on your hip. A slight twitch runs through your index finger. Now counter his counter. Brow to the troposphere. Full hoist. Put your neck into it. That's where the power comes from. The lieutenant anticipates your move, but can neither deflect nor parry your counter assault. A single drop of sweat trickles down his cheek. It's as if the entire world is frozen solid in awe of this great clash of brows. Nothing exists outside this moment. An almost imperceptible snap inside the lieutenant. His shoulders relax, his eyebrow casually descending as he tries his best to look relaxed, nonchalant even. A graceful retreat, so smooth you'd almost think there was no battle at all. There, you've breached his defenses. His secrets are yours.
All right. I guess there is one thing. I have, on a few occasions, when I was young and foolish, smoked hemp.
Tetrahydrocannabinol is the psychoactive substance in the cannabis plant, commonly known as hemp. It's one of the most common recreational substances in the world.
Yes, cannabis, the hemp. I rolled it into a small paper tube and lit it on fire. Then I inhaled the fumes. I was young. Is that enough of a secret for you?
He's waiting for a reaction. It's barely a secret. Everyone smoked hemp.
No. There are a couple of people who haven't smoked cannabis. I'm sure of that.
There's a hint of defensiveness in his voice. Even this minor act of rebellion is important to the lieutenant's self-construction.
How about we hit the crime we came here for instead? And by hit, I mean solve it. Solve it hard. Besides, those days are long behind me.
The words are true, my lord. No love for the herb in the lieutenant.
Of course. Here's my gun and badge. They'll put me in the chest for this. But it feels good to have it off my chest.
The chaise électrique?
All I ask is the chance to close this final case, so I can go to the chaise with a clean conscience. Let's hurry. I'm living on borrowed time. What do you mean? I have no idea what you're talking about.
The lieutenant's conceptualization skills must be rather rudimentary. The lieutenant is a police officer of the old school. His concerns are material and extrinsic. But this isn't an old school case.
So what? That makes you the new school? God spare us. For real detective work, nothing beats a good notebook by your side.
The lieutenant produces his familiar mnemotechnique A6 and idly thumbs through a few pages. That's where his conversations with himself take place. We all have our different mediums. His is written. You're super lucid, yet psychedelic. You don't need office supplies to connect to your nervous system. You're special.
That's correct.
That makes him a binoclad. Completely uncopped material, if you say so yourself.
I can assure you, detective, that I've passed all the required physical exams within the last year. Can you say the same?
You may not remember taking any little tests, but you're strong as a goddamn ox. Anyone can see that. The thing is, the RCM employs relatively few oxen. It's clear that what the lieutenant may lack in musculature, he makes up for in other ways.
Just because your precinct has a reputation for cracking skulls doesn't mean that's the only way to solve a case. Was there anything else? Good. Let's change the subject. Yes? What do you want to know? Ah, yes. The case brief you missed. Now I remember. 3 days ago, the RCM Emergencies Desk received a report about a security guard who was found hanged in Martinez. An anonymous caller said there was a dead body behind the Whirling in Rags hostel cafeteria. The cadaver had been there for 4 days. No one had come to investigate. During that time, the victim had been stripped of his belongings. The caller did not identify him, but used the word lynching. There is an ongoing labor dispute between the local dock workers and the logistics company Wild Pines. I was told we should approach the death as part of this dispute. A security guard or worker of some sort hired by Wild Pines. This was just hearsay from Martinez, of course. We need to find out the truth. They didn't identify themselves in any way. The tone was muffled using a device of some sort. The desk could identify neither the caller's age nor sex. There's a strong prejudice against involving the RCM in what's seen as union matters. The dock workers' union is the de facto police in Martinez. Now it appears they've started executing too. We cannot allow that. That's us, the Revachol Citizens Militia. We're the police in this city.
The RCM, or the Revachol Citizens Militia, is the police force you and him are part of. A self-organized peace corps of the occupied city of Revachol. The RCM operates within a legal twilight, yet its authority is rarely questioned. It's super useful to know this.
That's right. No, it's not a particularly mysterious case. The deceased is a security guard for a corporation involved in a labor dispute. It doesn't take a DeLorean polymath to put the pieces together. I just don't see the case getting more mysterious than that. There was some interest in this case at my station, but not for the reasons you have in mind. You seem to wish there was a...
Cut this boring stuff off immediately. You know what this case is about.
Good point. Martinez is famed for its occult sex murder rites. We'll get on it immediately.
The weary tone is the surest indicator that the lieutenant is being sarcastic.
Extremely.
It can still be an otherworldly sex mystery in your head, with a dark twist even. He's basically challenging you to sex it up with some lurid twist. Don't get right into it. Sit on it a bit, then hit him with it.
I'm afraid you and I are pawns in a pissing competition.
His disdain is clear. This man would not use such an expression otherwise.
You don't know? I assumed you were in on it. Better still than an imbecilic cop-off. It's just stupidity. The cop kind. Our precincts can't decide if Martinez is part of Jamrock or the Industrial Harbor. Yours or mine, as if we somehow own parts of the city. Typical street gang mentality. So we've let the Union make a mockery of law enforcement here, and now it's come to its natural conclusion. Well, sort of. It's less a matter of who gets to police Martinez than who has to. It's an orphan district, in other words. I think the dispatch desk just told both our stations about the hanging. There was quite the brouhaha at the 57th, I can tell you that. Time to settle it, they said. Cop off. But I assure you, I am not their finest or toughest with 102 cases solved. What I am is least interested in a pissing competition.
So he volunteered to represent the 57th, but not out of competitiveness. On the contrary, somewhere in your mind hangs a dark green blackboard. There are two columns. One says, cases solved. The other, confirmed kills. The rows are endless. Jean Vicmer, Judith Minot, a special consultant. What was his name? Then the rows degrade into green nothingness. Your brothers have left you.
Yes, I'm an unrepentant spoilsport. Well, technically, the official record keeper has been known to double-count murder-suicides.
A common accounting gimmick used to inflate precinct stats.
I'm good enough for this case. I'm not here to compete. I came because I had to. My fellow officers, the sergeants in particular, would have made this scene into a circus. Martinez? Nothing. It's just a puddle at the end of some drain pipe. No one cares about this place. They care about sports. Most of our colleagues don't even know how to get here. North of the interchange doesn't exist.
A tremble comes over you. Another after effect of ethanol poisoning, perhaps. Feels like leaves do when they rustle in the breeze, somewhere far away, below the turbine. The 41st and the 57th. The lieutenant was right. It's not about who gets what's north. It's about who doesn't. Clearly, he has already formed his own theory. Tell him why it's you. It's all part of the master plan, you see.
Really? It can't be that. I hope you do.
And he will help.
Yes, it's a wholly pointless matter. Forget I ever mentioned it.
He's actually glad it's addressed now. Look at you. It's because you're a failure. They sent you to slight Precinct 57. Just think about it for a second. You're a raging alcoholic who showed up 3 days late and argues with his necktie. You weren't sent here to win.
I've considered it. It would be immensely ugly of them, not to mention unprofessional, but I also think it's somewhat unlikely. I checked the records. This jurisdiction dispute, who polices Martinez, reaches back to the 30s. It's as old as my station. And all this time we can't decide who gets Martinez? I think, yes, both stations would prefer a win. I am the finest of nothing. Safe? No. But you're old. You've made it this far. Something has brought you through. We've only just started working together, so I don't know what it is yet. But it's there. So no, I don't think they sent you as a joke. And even if they did, they are in for a surprise.
He's right. There are no airtight theories, just paranoia. You've given it some thought. Now let it go. What if you did it? Yes, you killed him. And then, as part of the plan, you drowned out the memory. It wasn't that you were horrified. You were just surprised by your own daring. Forgetting was merely a matter of convenience. Very clever. Maybe this is why your chest feels so hollow. You did an awful thing, and you can't even bring yourself to acknowledge it. Are you sure you would have the strength to take down a hardened mercenary? You're not in the best shape. Perhaps you did it for the Union. Your political beliefs gave you the strength and courage to take on such a formidable opponent.
And what has led you to this conclusion? That is a common side effect of overindulgence. It will pass. Besides, I doubt you could have taken down a hardened mercenary single-handedly.
See? You're clearly not a man in your prime anymore.
Don't take it personally. It's just that security guards kept on by large corporations tend to be better trained and better armed than officers of the RCM. I find that highly unlikely. It's not unusual for detectives to feel complicit in a crime until the perpetrator is apprehended, especially when the investigation is dragging. So let's get back to it, shall we?
A police badge on which you see the photo of a man. You. Some seaweed is stuck to the back.
At least something good came out of all this.
Encased between two durable plastic sheets is a bluish card with lines of information and a watermark in the shape of the street grid of Revachol West. You see a photo, a name, a rank, a document number, the date of issue, and, in the lower right corner, your precinct. The man keeps winking at you with his green-gray eyes. The photo is old, no doubt about that. But the badge is new. You used an old photo for a new badge. Good choice. A newer photo would look different. 8, maybe 10 years. The guy in the picture is rather good looking. He's got a nice haircut and is distinctly lacking in massive sideburns. What do you think? His face is already contorted by the expression, although it looks less grotesque on him than it did on you. It looks like you had quite the charming face way back then. Your hair is brown and slightly curly. Your eyes seem more clear somehow. The lack of alcohol swelling is a bonus, though there's a pinch of that in your cheeks already. Don't be fooled. The bad times have already begun. The badge in your hand shines as you rotate it, catching light. You see lines of information on it, and a shining watermark.
Harrier, that's long for Harry. So you are Harry. Evrard was half right. Probably not a lot of people know your full name. Whoever told him you're Harry DuBois didn't. It's a wartime name, revolutionary. The kind mothers give their sons during troubled times, like Undying or Boxer or Ironhide.
It's meant to keep you safe. from bullets, hunger, shrapnel, kidnappings, and worse.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, Harrier DuBois.
He's not going to call you Harrier. He'll keep calling you officer when he's angry with you, and detective when he's not. The badge in your hands shines as you rotate it, catching light. You see lines of information.
Lieutenant W. Freighter. The lieutenant is a rank above sergeant and below captain. It's the highest rank in the RCM that still does field work. I am a lieutenant. The title of Freighter is added to your rank when you decline a promotion to a higher rank. In your case, captain. You have declined twice, thus you're double Freighter. There are many reasons one would do this. The rank above you in your precinct's décomptage might be taken, or sometimes promoted officers do not want to replace their superiors out of respect. And sometimes they just prefer the type of police work available to their current rank, in your case, lieutenant.
Heavy-duty case-solving machine.
Décomptage is the hierarchical system employed by the Revachol citizens' militia. It means counting down to twos.
The countdown is modeled after the dual leadership system employed by the left during the revolution, which, in turn, was developed by last-century experimental psychologists in the University of Königstein.
The lowest rank is junior officer, usually teenagers. Then there are the patrol officers, then sergeants, lieutenants, and then a captain. That's basically it, except for a few kings. Kings like satellite officers and the additional freighter rank I already explained.
The long and short of it is, you're his superior.
You are given the title of satellite officer if your partner is quickly promoted through the ranks and you rise with him. You don't seem to be a satellite. My pleasure. Yes, apparently you've had a rather successful career in the past, and this leads me to believe maybe your current situation is only temporary. Good.
Such a small yet precious thing, expensive paper caught between thick plastic, like a fly in amber. It reads.
That's just the serial number. Revachol, Jamrock, Precinct 41, with some numbers thrown in there for good measure.
The numbers are not there for good measure. They have an administrative purpose, one that's unfortunately been erased from your memory.
4 months ago. I'm guessing that's when you were promoted to the rank of Lieutenant W. Freighter. A new badge usually comes with a new rank. You seem to have been doing well then.
The pain in your chest tells you you were working yourself to death to earn that rank. The case created a lot of edge you have to take off. The death march really gets us going. You're pretty sure you weren't doing well, but better? Probably yes. A lot can happen in 4 months, especially in winter. The winters are never easy on you, of that you are sure.
I remember that time! That was a good time! We had a good work-drink balance going! What happened, man? Pump it up!
Yes, it's the designation of your precinct. 41, like mine says 57. The 57th is mostly industrial harbor, a lot of asphalt. The 41st is... It's a tough station to work in. You have all of Jamrock to cover. That district should have 3 precincts, but money is what it is.
It's no wonder you are like you are, he thinks. But then again...
It's a legendary district, and a hell of a station too. It must be an honor and a curse to work with people like Price, McCoy, Berdiaeva.
Roberts, Feuerbach, Dimitri. Suddenly, names from your decomptage flash in your forebrain. He knew all those people, although they're not from his station. They must be big. And you? Is it an honor to work with you? Don't ask him. Ask yourself. The badge in your hand shines as you rotate it, catching light. You see lines of information on it, and a shining watermark.
What happened to you?
Better keep the lieutenant in the dark about the whole icebreaker thing. He's not gonna get it.
You look different. Constipated somehow? Yes, your face. Looks like you're having a stroke. Can you even move it?
That's a negative, Lieutenant.
I just don't understand, officer. Please help me understand. And what is that? A walking mask? No, you are not. What you are is an officer of the Revachol Citizens Militia, conducting a murder investigation. No, but you see, you don't. You are not an icebreaker, or a firewalker, or even Tequila Sunset. Are you fucking insane? Don't answer that, and stop doing it. Let's go.
The lieutenant's command instantly lets all the wind out of your sails, like he overrode your mind or flicked some secret master switch. Suddenly, the whole icebreaker concept seems just lame. It's like he reconditioned your brain. Over there, in the corner. Not just any pinball machine. This is the pinnacle of pinball. Cornelius Gordy and the Mountain Goats. It's lit. You can't wait to get your hands on it. Lit, a phrase almost synonymous with the Insulindian pinball scene. Any pinball scene, really.
The pinball machine. Gordy's Goats, a classic.
Oh, it's more than just a classic. A must-play. All serious pinballers have attempted a tempo run. The greats, like Gottwald's Knut Schmeling and Jürgen Sternemann, Mesk pinball legend Yara Flavia Yandiroba, and Zimsk-born phenom Ludek Smolka have all managed a sub-20-minute run.
A little.
Feels like a lot. Too much to play it again.
Ah, great.
Cornelius Gordy and the Mountain Goats reads the golden lettering on top of the back box. There's a small column of text underneath. The machine is coin-operated. Get the game on, Fingerboy. Those flippers are ready. Above the painting of a mustached man climbing a hill, a column reads, inspired by the legend of Cornelius Gordy, taken on the world's tallest peak, Corpus Windy. The Mesk legend holds that when the nation is in danger, heroic Gordy shall return and save his people. The theme of the game is to explore Gordy's climb through the perspective of goats and to ascend to the top of the mountain in a time of trouble. The peak of the mountain is at the top of the playfield. All the balls have small goat icons on them and represent the goats as they race up and down the mountain. Areas around the playfield represent Gordy's climb, places he was said to have camped, which the goats can discover. Get them to the summit. Indeed, think of them as balls. It takes a while to get into a rhythm, but pretty soon you're able to keep 3 goat-faced balls in play with relative ease. Go, go, Fingerboy.
I feel sorry for the goats. If they only knew the kind of guy old Cornelius really was. The kind of a guy who uses the word savages a lot when recounting his travels. A masked nationalist. An avid huntsman too. He was often photographed in his dining hall, surrounded by wall-mounted hunting trophies from every continent. He also hit his wife, And kids. Other people's kids too. Sometimes pets. Hateful little men.
That's what they should have turned into a pinball game.
But you seem to be having fun.
Your game is definitely improving. The jolly goats are flying all over the board, and although a few plummet to their deaths, you're never left with less than 3. Natural selection. Suddenly, a special passage leading to the summit slides open at the top of the board. This is where the balls need to go. Maneuvering a goat ball into a position for a perfect hit isn't easy. More fall to their deaths. But finally, the opportunity presents itself. One of them gets through. Tiny hammer shatters something inside the machine. Something lasts. An ampoule? The last one. The words "pale rupture" light up on the speaker panel, and the machine starts filling with a thick, milky fog. Something's happening.
Congratulations. This is where the game ends. It's a cheap way of getting more money out of the players. A stupid, nihilistic finale.
There's so much fog, you can barely see anything. Some is actually leaking out of the machine, and one by one, your goats start slipping, disappearing into the milky nothingness. Lucky goats. The fog looks soft and inviting. This can be navigated. The balls leave almost imperceptible disruptions in the fog. Use them to calculate where they hit next. Hit the pads as fast as you can. Maximum attack. Not even a bullet can get through. The amount of focus it takes to predict when a ball goat is in striking range is staggering, but it can be done. Focus. You're down to your last goat, going mostly by sound. Eyes are useless at this point, but that goat is something special. 5 times you snatch him back from the jaws of death. You're in a perfectly balanced system where neither you nor the power is able to get the upper hand. This could go on forever.
I am. I've seen it before. Played it too. You will eventually make a mistake and then it's all over.
Only the tension in his posture betrays his interest. With automation-like precision, you keep the final goat ball in play, reacting to the tiniest stimuli, floating in the flow state. The fog is clearing, and suddenly, the old speaker crackles. Gaudy ball is lit.
Huh?
A panel opens up at the top of the playfield, and a new ball charges downhill. It's larger than the goats and matte black. Cornelius spell the white letters running across the equator. So violent is its descent, it immediately knocks the last goat into the abyss, then proceeds to bounce all across the board as if carried by some demonic otherworldly inertia. High score, announce the speakers, and the whole machine lights up. Then the flippers retract, leaving a perfect opening for the gaudy ball to join the goats backstage. Cornelius vanishes, and the machine powers off.
That's amazing. You didn't just win. No one I know has ever beaten Gordy's goats. That is a monumental achievement, Detective. Congratulations, Your Highness. That was really impressive. The machine needs a good service before anyone else can even attempt it again. Yes, good times.
Once again, the machine becomes one with the dust and the darkness. Life has left it, unlikely to ever return.
Yes?
The lieutenant's posture becomes rigid and uncomfortable as you lean forward and sniff the area just above his shoulder blade. The lieutenant is fastidious as a cat in matters of his personal upkeep, and yet, in the folds of his jacket, you can just perceive the stale and acrid traces of oil rags, transmission fluid, and brake pads. Wait, there's something else there. Something that sets your GABA receptors aflutter. The lieutenant's aftershave, a common drugstore brand, strong hints of pine needle. But what sort of ideological picture do these smells paint? Tough to say.
Do you need something, detective? I do like to hang around the motor pool every now and then, but that doesn't make me a mechanic. Sort of like how hanging around the liquor store hasn't made you into a master distiller. My apologies, detective. I couldn't resist. Was there something else you wish to discuss?
A banged-up motor carriage lies half-submerged in the icy water, slowly sinking into the Insulindian Ocean. Only the cabin top, rear wheels, and the engine remain visible. It must be cold and lonely down there, in the icy water. The seawater has already started to corrode the metalworks. Remember the tire tracks in Martinez? This is where they were leading.
It appears to be so. I agree. We should definitely investigate.
You get a sudden, sinking feeling. Stomach acid comes up as you look at the motor carriage in the deep, dark, cold water. Why the doom and gloom? It's just a sunken motor carriage. Some motor carriages are bound to end up in the sea. The motor carriage is properly stuck in the ice. Getting it out would require a team of specialists. A single day in the salty seawater would ruin most vehicles, but this one looks worn even in places the salt water hasn't touched it. Rust, moss, and sea life have already claimed it for themselves and initiated a slow decomposition process. The logo is too deep in the murky water. You can't make it out, but you do see a monkfish float by.
The ice hasn't closed around the vehicle yet. My guess is it's been here since last Saturday or Sunday.
The estimate is correct. The incident probably occurred on Sunday evening. Your mocking tone finds no response, but the motion of the waves.
Yes. Crazy recklessness. I'd say it has been here since last Saturday or Sunday. Let's wait for the low tide and see what's inside.
Great idea. Then we can get the things inside. The joyrider must have left something good inside. Guns, papers, maybe a cool jacket. A joyrider jacket. A joyrider jacket? You feel a strange connection to this joyrider. Maybe he's from some kind of joyriders district and likes blue and white racing livery, like a cop would. Papers. Papers would be cool. Maybe there's registration inside, like a person registration. You know, like your badges.
I don't know. An hour or two, tops?
As you sit down in the old, rusty playground, the world around you becomes very silent. The hinges creak under your weight, dangerously so. Nothing but the sound of seagulls high above in the sky, echoing like distant laughter. Ice cracks around the blue motor carriage in the sea.
Yes, it does. Let me think about it.
The tune on your lips forms a strange yet undeniably beautiful contrast with the surrounding bleakness. The lieutenant gives you a quick glance, then, still looking straight ahead, he joins you with a higher pitched and slightly more melodic trill. Two birds on a wire, whistling by the seaside, looking at the water and a sunken car. The wind blows. In the distance, behind the church, some vagrants are having an argument over a bag of tear they found in the reeds. Further away, a flock of seagulls lands. The clouds pass in the sky, and the shadow of the swing moves like the hour hand on a timepiece. 30 minutes have passed. Looks like this might take a while. Time to present a good topic for discussion.
Well, historically, leeches have been used to prevent and even cure many ailments.
Okay, he's thinking. I can do this. Let's do this. Who'd want to sit on an anthill? There are no therapeutic benefits to... Well, napalm ants, for example, are used in some rites of passage rituals. Clouds on the horizon grow darker, and the shadow of the swing set keeps climbing. You hear the distant rumble of the city. 30 minutes pass.
God, I hope so.
Your voice echoes on the water, strange and out of place in the environment. 30 more minutes pass.
Detective, I've been able to make out the mark ever since we arrived. I find it odd that you haven't. It's a Capri, Model 40.
Yes. Why haven't you?
It is a simple and rugged machine, favored by working men, government offices, firefighters, animal control people, you know, those kinds of people. Yes, 41. What do you think it stands for?
It's as if he knows what it stands for, but wants you to say it. It's pedagogical. Does he know something about that speed racer?
But it could also be the number of a police precinct. Precinct 41. Your precinct.
A massive pit opens up in your stomach, and the most terrible feeling comes over you. You feel like you're about to faint and fall off the swing. Your hands get clammy, and the air tastes sour to breathe. Oh God, Harry. Oh God, Harry. What did you do? No. Just nope. Say no to this, Harry.
Yes, your car is in the sea. Face it, so we can start dealing with this. There were never any street racers. It was always you. You drove your car in the sea.
The lieutenant just shakes his head.
I'm afraid so, yes. It looks like you started in front of the whirling, jumped over the canal, and then drove your vehicle in the sea right here. Of whom? I don't think so. If anything, you were probably drunk.
Probably. Tried definitely.
Detective, we don't. A rescue operation really isn't viable at this point.
It's sunken too deep. There is no access ramp to the coast.
I'm afraid it will have to be there like that for many years. Look at it. Parts of it might be salvageable, but overall, this machine is a write-off. That is very unlikely. All the electrics are toast. That goes for the electromagnetic steering and brake systems as well. You'd be lucky to find one undamaged component in there. In a few months, there will be nothing but rust left of this vehicle. It'll be cheaper to buy a new one. Well, not cheaper. This motor carriage costs 40,000 real. But in the long run, it still makes more sense to buy a new machine than try to refurbish this. Let's face it, this is a substantial loss to your district's budget. I mean, my station only has 4 other vehicles in addition to my kinema.
This was 20% of the station's vehicular budget.
Well, it isn't. It's you. I'm very sorry. People are more valuable than machines. Training a police officer is even more costly.
People, yes, but not you. The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and doesn't say anything. There is also a 4th thing you've lost. More precious than the gun, the badge, and the motor carriage combined. Lost forever into the deepest of seas.
You can still whistle. Besides, the night is always darkest before the dawn. Yes, let's go take a look.
The ham sandwich looks fresh and nutritious in your hand, begging to be eaten. A treat of this magnitude should not be enjoyed alone.
I'll pass. Thanks.
When you hold something up long enough, some people are compelled to take it. Try it on the lieutenant.
Thank you, but no, I'm not hungry. No. No.
The lieutenant's eyes express an absolute lack of interest. The lieutenant stands next to you, but he might as well exist in a parallel realm. This man does not crack under pressure. Stars would die before he'd succumb to any kind of manipulation. With this realization comes a sudden flash of pride.
Stop that.
One look at the lieutenant immediately tells you he is ready for your assault sandwich. A bad idea. Men like the lieutenant are not won over by such childish maneuvers. The lieutenant slaps the sandwich out of your hand faster than you could ever hope to react in your sorry state. It lands in the dirt and falls apart.
Officer, we have serious matters to attend to. I suggest we get to them right now.